Wolfman, 2025, reinvents the iconic Universal Monsters narrative by infusing it with a modern psychological perspective, intertwining themes of body horror, family trauma, and suspense to craft a dark and atmospheric story. The plot revolves around a man's battle with an inherited darkness, illustrated through a horrific metamorphosis into a werewolf. The film opens with a chilling prologue set in the fog-covered woods of a desolate New England town where a creature viciously slays a local hunter, leaving behind a mangled body and no clear evidence of what attacked. While officials classify it as an animal incident, the locals whisper of ancient legends connecting the beast to a bloodline cursed by the full moon. Enter Lawrence Talbot, a solitary and psychologically scarred man who returns to his hometown after the death of his estranged father Elias Talbot. Having distanced himself from his family's peculiarities and the trauma of his mother's mysterious disappearance, Lawrence's return is motivated by both duty and a troubling curiosity, as the circumstances surrounding his father's death echo the violence depicted in the film's opening scene. At the dilapidated Talbot estate, a grand yet crumbling mansion engulfed by dense forest, Lawrence encounters his father's old friend and housekeeper, who reveals that Elias had grown increasingly paranoid before his death, obsessing over the beast and the curse. Lawrence also meets Gwen, a wildlife conservationist and cryptozoologist investigating strange animal behavior in the region. Although skeptical, she is open-minded and quickly becomes both a supportive ally and a potential love interest for Lawrence. As Lawrence delves into his father's research, he is plagued by disturbing visions, bloody flashbacks, warped dreams, and sudden fits of rage. In his father's journals, he discovers a suppressed part of their lineage, a curse that began in the 19th century when one of their ancestors was bitten on a blood moon. These journals detail not only transformations and rituals but also the agonies Elias experienced in grappling with the beast within him. At first, Lawrence regards these revelations as mere delusions. However, his perception shifts dramatically after he survives a brutal attack during a full moon by an unknown creature. Awakening the following morning with bizarre injuries and heightened senses, he becomes increasingly aware of uncontrollable urges. As the nights progress, his transformation initiates, starting mentally and eventually manifesting physically. He begins to experience blackouts, waking in alarming locations covered in blood. Meanwhile, the townspeople grow wary as a series of gruesome murders occur following each full moon, intensifying the narrative's suspense and horror. Detective Rawlins leads the investigation into a series of mysterious events, drawn to the reclusive Lawrence, who bears the weight of his father's suspicious death. Lacking solid evidence, Rawlins presses on while Gwen starts to piece together a connection between local folklore, alarming animal attacks, and Lawrence's deteriorating health. On the night of the full moon, Lawrence, tormented by his curse, locks himself in the family's underground crypt, attempting to contain the monster threatening to emerge. The transformation, however, is tumultuous and violent, resulting in the Wolfman's escape and a bloody rampage that leaves a group of illegal trappers dead in the woods. In the aftermath, haunted by the violence he has unleashed, Lawrence contemplates taking his own life to prevent future harm. Gwen intervenes, offering hope in the form of an ancient ritual that may lift his curse. They discover old letters and symbols from Elias's hidden study, leading them to the origins of the curse, traced back to an ancient temple in the hills. According to legend, the only way to lift the curse is for the afflicted to confront the progenitor of their bloodline's darkness during a lunar eclipse. As the trio, Gwen, Lawrence, and the reluctant Rawlins, embark on their quest, they are pursued by a government task force investigating the violent deaths. On the night of the rare lunar eclipse, Lawrence undergoes a full transformation. In a surreal hallucinatory moment, he confronts a spectral ancestor, a ghostly figure embodying both man and wolf. Instead of succumbing to his beastly instincts, Lawrence resists and conquers this vision, gaining a measure of control over his condition. Though the ritual offers a partial resolution, Lawrence remains cursed but now possesses awareness and a degree of mastery over his transformation. The struggle isn't over. As dawn approaches, the task force mistreats him as a danger and opens fire, misunderstanding the situation. In the chaos, Gwen shields Lawrence, pleading for the soldiers to cease fire. This escalates into a violent confrontation involving man-monster and soldier, forcing Lawrence to retreat into the safety of the forest, injured yet alive. In a reflective closing monologue, Gwen meditates on the nature of monsters and the weight of inherited curses, suggesting that while some cannot be entirely lifted, they can be borne with dignity. Months later, Lawrence is depicted in a distant land, gazing at the rising moon with faintly glowing eyes, alive yet solitary, embodying the struggle between light and darkness. Wolfman, 2025, transcends traditional horror, exploring themes of inherited trauma, mental health, and the dichotomy within humanity against a backdrop steeped in Gothic tradition. Lawrence Talbot's story is a harrowing tale of tragic transformation that encapsulates reluctant heroism. He transitions from a skeptical individual to a self-aware monster, which adds significant emotional weight to the narrative. His love interest, Gwen, plays a pivotal role as both a source of affection and the moral compass of the film, providing a grounding influence of compassion and hope amid chaos. Detective Rawlins, who initially positions himself as an antagonist, evolves into a complex secondary protagonist, symbolizing society's fear of the unknown as the plot unfolds. Visually, the film prioritizes body horror, showcasing transformations that are not only painful but also deeply visceral, intended to elicit feelings of discomfort rather than empowerment. The design of the Wolfman strikes a careful balance between beast and humanity, featuring hauntingly expressive eyes that serve as a reminder of the humanity that still exists within the monstrous form. Set against a moonlit forest in rural New England, the story opens with a disturbing attack. A solitary hunter is on the trail of something bizarre, noticing abnormal footprints and the remains of half-eaten animals. Before he can pursue his investigation, a monstrous blur races through the treetops, leaving behind only screams and blood. By morning, the authorities discover horrifying disfigured remains, leading the townsfolk to murmur about a curse, one that predates the community itself. Lawrence returns to the Talbot estate after learning of his estranged father's violent demise. The decaying home looms ominously atop a hill permeated by fog and shadow, a place he hasn't visited in years since the tragic death of his mother under mysterious circumstances. His childhood memories are fragmented and haunting, filled with fear, isolation, and the eerie echoes of distant howling. Upon his arrival, Lawrence is welcomed by the family's loyal caretaker, who informs him that Elias Talbot had become increasingly erratic, convinced that he was being hunted. Dismissing this as madness, Lawrence begins noticing unsettling signs within the estate: scratched floors, strange markings, and growls resonating from the woods. Lawrence soon encounters Gwen, a conservationist investigating the peculiar wildlife disturbances in the area. She suspects that the cause of the recent violent events is unnatural and expresses interest in Elias's journals, which Lawrence has started to examine. The journals contain detailed observations about lunar cycles, unsettling symptoms, and what appears to be an urgent struggle to manage an internal transformation. That night, Lawrence retraces his father's last expedition into the woods and stumbles upon a blood-soaked clearing. Suddenly, an unseen entity ambushes him, leaving him with deep claw marks. He awakens in his bed the next day, disoriented and unaware of how he returned. Strikingly, his senses are heightened, his body feels stronger, and a simmering anger starts to manifest beneath the surface. As the full moon draws near, Lawrence finds himself losing track of time, waking up in strange places during the night. His dreams are haunted by imagery of blood and teeth, and the community experiences a surge in animal attacks, specifically sightings of a towering bipedal creature with glowing eyes. Suspicions arise around Lawrence, particularly from a local detective named Rollins, who connects Lawrence's erratic behavior and the peculiar nature of the crime scenes to his recent return to town. Lawrence, while feeling a growing unease about his own actions, manages to deflect Rollins' inquiries. Meanwhile, his friend Gwen attempts to provide support, and together they delve into Elias's journals, which lead them to uncover a hidden chamber beneath the Talbot estate. There they find ancient documents and relics that uncover a family curse rooted in a dark past. This curse began centuries ago when a Talbot ancestor committed a grievous act against a Romani woman accused of witchcraft. The woman's dying curse foretold that the Talbots would bear a beast within them, activated by the lunar cycles and blood. As the full moon rises, Lawrence undergoes a horrifying transformation. He is overtaken by primal instincts and becomes a terrifying creature, robust with fur and fearsome fangs. In a feral state, he escapes into the woods and attacks a group of poachers, leaving them slaughtered in his wake. The following day, rumors of a wolfman engulf the village, instilling widespread panic. Lawrence retreats home, his body stained with blood, overwhelmed by the terror of his new identity. Facing despair, Lawrence contemplates suicide, but Gwen intervenes, bringing hope. She believes that the curse can be controlled, or perhaps even broken, through an ancient ritual linked to the lunar eclipse. This ritual requires confronting the source of the curse, demanding blood and sacrifice, along with a confrontation of the inner darkness. Rollins and his team ramp up their investigation surrounding the Talbot estate upon finding connections linking Lawrence to the gruesome murders. As the tension escalates, a heated confrontation ensues between Lawrence and the detectives, leading to a pivotal moment that could determine his fate and that of the long-standing curse that has haunted his family for generations. The outcome of this struggle remains uncertain, but the battle against his monstrous transformation and the legacy of the curse looms large. If you enjoy watching this video, then subscribe to Angel Recaps for the latest movies explanation.